Hey guys, how are you? So, in the past few months, actually the past few years, we have seen Democrats sink to a level that I don't think you and I ever thought imaginable. I always knew that politics were corrupt and there was some lying and this and that, but the level at what it's gotten is just out of control. And just on a personal level, anytime I'm not active on Facebook, but sometimes I'll log in just to see what certain family members are doing that live far away from me. Every time I log on to Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, I I see things like, if you're voting for Trump, you're a racist and half the country is racist and blah 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 blah. And people believe this. And everyone blames Trump for dividing the country. That is not what's dividing the country. Let's watch. I'm going to show you a clip from Michelle Obama's, I guess it was a political ad that she put out. The entire thing is 24 minutes long, but we're going to focus on one part of it. And I used a side by side that someone on Twitter put together. So what is his name? Tim Young. Tim runs his mouth on Twitter. I'll link to his Twitter below if you want to follow him. He does some really cool stuff. But let's watch this and then we'll talk about it. I think this is probably one of the most disturbing things that I've seen in a while, and I'll tell you why. But let's go ahead and watch it.
They're stoking fears about black and brown Americans, lying about how minorities will destroy the suburbs, whipping up violence and intimidation, and they're pinning it all on what's been an overwhelmingly peaceful movement for racial solidarity. It's true. Research backs it up. Only a tiny fraction of demonstrations have had any violence at all. So what the president is doing is once again patently false. It's morally wrong. And yes, it is racist. But that doesn't mean it won't work. Because this is a difficult time, a confusing time. And when people hear these lies and crazy conspiracies repeated over and over and over again, they don't know what to think. With everything going on in their lives, they don't have time to fact-check falsehoods being spread throughout the internet. And even reasonable people might get scared. And the one thing this president is really, really good at is using fear and confusion and spreading lies to win.
Okay, let's unpack that. First, she's saying that Donald Trump said that minorities, black and brown people, would ruin the suburbs. And I believe she's referring to, hold for helicopter. Welcome to LA. There's helicopters all the time. Okay. So she's referring to Donald Trump not wanting to put housing projects in the suburbs. That's basically what she's saying. He never referred to low-income people that live in housing projects as minorities or black and brown people. So Michelle Obama is basically assuming that low-income people are only minorities and that only white people live in the suburbs, which is not true at all. And do you think that Michelle Obama wants a housing project next to her $12 million estate on Martha's Vineyard? I highly doubt it. And then she goes on to say what's been happening over the summer, the riots, the protests have been overwhelmingly peaceful. And it's proven only a small little section of these were violent. Which in a way is true. There is truth to that. I would say that most of the protests have been peaceful. I've told you a million times, I live in Protest Central, and the majority of them are peaceful. But there has still been billions of dollars in property damage. Innocent people have been attacked, harassed, over 1,000 officers injured, and people have died in these protests. And at what point is enough enough? At what point is it too much? So let's just look at some of the people who have passed away in these peaceful protests. Here is a group of individuals right here who have passed away in the peaceful protests that Michelle Obama doesn't want to acknowledge. There's little Sequoia Turner that Michelle Obama doesn't want to acknowledge. This is the father of a 19-year-old that was shot and killed in Seattle, the Chaz Chop Zone that Michelle Obama doesn't want to acknowledge. And this young girl right here was run over, I believe that was in Seattle, at the chaos that ensued because of the peaceful protests. And do you think if you lived in one of these neighborhoods where this is going on, you would say they are overwhelmingly peaceful? If you were a parent to one of those people, or a daughter, or a mother, or a brother, or a cousin to one of those people, would you say they are overwhelmingly peaceful? Isn't one life too many? And also, if you were using that logic, wouldn't you use the same logic for police officers? 370 million interactions a year police officers have with individuals. Most of them are overwhelmingly peaceful. So if you're going to use that logic, then why are we even protesting in the first place? Most interactions with cops are overwhelmingly peaceful. This has been happening in Chicago, New York City, Portland, Los Angeles, Seattle, Atlanta, Dallas, where else? Kenosha, Minneapolis. And for our president simply calling this out, saying that he wants law and order, that makes him a fearmonger. And then the end where she calls him a racist. This is what is dividing our country. This is why people think that half of America is racist. This is why people think that anyone that supports Donald Trump is racist. There is zero evidence. Michelle Obama has zero evidence that this man is racist. He put, what, 500 million for opportunity zones, prison reform, making Juneteenth a holiday, designating the KKK a terrorist organization. Biden was in office for 47 years and never did any of that. So tell me, what evidence do you have that this man is racist? Not only that, he has condemned it. How many times? We just made a video about this last week. How many times has he condemned racism? So Michelle Obama, you're the one that's fear-mongering. This is exactly what is dividing our country. And I'm really tired of Democrats. They have stolen and weaponized terms like white supremacist, racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe, and now there's a new one. There's a new term, or a new phrase, right-wing conspiracy theorists. They have done it to shut down argument. They have done it to shut down conservative voices and to not actually debate policy or debate ideas. They just call you a racist. There you go. It's done. I want to say one more thing and then I'm finished. Michelle Obama also has a podcast, and there was a clip that came out in which she was giving an example of the oppression and racism that she faces in this country. And first of all, this is a woman who went to Harvard. She went to Princeton. She was the first lady for 8 years and lives in a $12 million state on Martha's Vineyard. I don't see a whole lot of oppression there, but she gave an example of the racial, the racism that she faces in this country. And her example was, while she was the first lady, she went to, with her daughters, it was, I don't know if it was a coffee shop or somewhere for lunch, and they were standing in line, and a woman didn't even look at her and walked right past her and cut in line. And that was her example of racism. That was her example. There was no other evidence other than the fact that this woman cut her in line. Now let me just talk about that for a second, because I've gotten cut in line before. I used to be a hostess at a restaurant, and I would sit on a tall stool. We had a giant sign that said, "Please wait to be seated." And every time someone walked in, I would say, "Hi," like really loudly. And I can tell you it probably happened about 5 times a day where someone would not even look at me. They would walk right past me, go seat themselves, and I would be like, I guess I'll bring you some menus over there. It happened all the time. It happened so much, it was a running joke. And how many times I'm walking on the sidewalk now in the age of cell phones, and I almost get bumped into because people aren't paying attention. I've been a server before. I can't even tell you how many times I was standing at a table taking someone's order and they do not even look up at me. So disrespectful. Sometimes people are just jerks. Sometimes you don't know what they're going through. Sometimes you're in public and you're sick and you're not paying attention, or your mind is somewhere else. It doesn't mean racism. And Anyway, that's all I have to say. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think. Bye.